Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining today. Going to get started here in just one moment. We're at 4:30. Today we're going to be talking about financial fitness, wellness within budget. So I thank you for joining. All right. There we go. My name is Bree Shalito. I'm the Senior Manager of Workforce and Community Wellbeing here at ENT, and I love talking about all things financial well-being. So excited for the new year and the opportunity to talk about financial fitness. Today we're going to be talking about a few different categories when it comes to financial fitness, and that's going to be things on nutrition, apparel, and equipment. So we'll have each area its own piece of advice for each one of those areas to save money and be fit at the same time. I want to start out with this quote. I love this quote as we were preparing in this class. Money is not the goal. Money has no value. The value comes from the dreams money helps you achieve. So thinking in terms, especially of our fitness when it comes to the new year and perhaps some new year resolutions that we have, it's important to keep that in mind, that money is really our vehicle to achieve our dreams. So that's both financially, fitness. We're going to talk about tons of different well-being as you see on my wheel here. There's lots of aspects and different areas of well-being on this wheel. Financial, as I've already mentioned, physical, which we're talking about in that fitness realm, but there's others. There's spiritual, emotional, those goals and aspirations that we have. Physical is one, social and environmental, those that are around you, the things that are happening. So by talking about these subjects today, we want to be sure that when we're mentioning one and really focusing on one, we're not necessarily hindering some of those other areas. So as much as we may have a goal or an aspiration, we want to be sure to keep a lot of these pillars of well-being in mind so that we don't sacrifice one on behalf of the other. We really are well-rounded in our realm of well-being. So it's going to help us today as we think about fitness and moving into the goals of January like so many do, how we can keep that budget in mind and be sure that we don't take over on the financial side. So the first area we're going to talk about is really that nutrition. Nutrition is a really big one, and if you talk to any fitness and nutrition experts, it's actually the biggest piece of your fitness journey, that nutrition. So it's so important that that be in line. You can work out all day, every day, depending on what you're eating. It may not help if you don't have both of those in check. So as we're fueling our fitness journey, we really want to focus on those less processed foods. The more processed, the more ingredients, the more things that are going in them, the less whole that they are. And that way we really can't always keep track of exactly what it's made of and what's going into it. So if we really opt for those fresh fruits, veggies, those lean proteins, whole grains, I'll talk a little bit more about a fruit and veggie hack here in just a moment. But if we're leaning into those foods that we know are made in nature and are coming to us that way, that's really going to be the best way to go. If we're also buying in bulk some of those essential items that we know that we're going to use across multiple recipes and use those ingredients, that's going to help us save. If we know this week we're going to make a couple of recipes using chicken, then we can buy a larger amount of chicken so that it costs us a little less. That really comes into the planning. So if we can stock up on those essentials, especially when you're on your fitness journey and you're focusing on things like protein, that's where we're looking at our beans, our meats, rice, eggs, and some of those things add up so fast. So if we can buy them in bulk, sometimes we can save ourselves some money. I told you there'd be a hack here for fruit and veggies, and frozen is really the best hack when we're thinking about our nutrition and saving money. The reason that frozen is so wonderful, as much as it sometimes gets a bad reputation, is that when those fruits and veggies are at their ripest, they're most nutritious and they're most tasty, is when those are actually picked. So they pick those at their most nutritious time and they flash freeze them. You don't sacrifice any of the nutrition, and in fact, by the time that they thaw out, they're most tasty that they're going to be. Whereas if you're anything like me and you go to the store and you pick out the fruits and veggies, if you're well adept at knowing what they look like when they're ripe, I'm sure we've all been in the circumstance where we thought that something looked like it was ripe and ready to go, only to cut it and find out that might not be true. So when we're buying those fruits and vegetables and they're frozen, not only are they much cheaper, but we know that those are going to be actually ripe and good to go by the time that we need them. Of course, there's a little prep work, have to thaw those out in order for them to be at their peak tastiness. but we know that those are going to be good. Because if you're also anything like me, even with the best intentions, I buy fruits and vegetables wanting to use them either in a recipe or eat them by themselves. And sometimes they sit there a little longer than I want them to, and by then I've wasted them. So frozen fruits and vegetables are a phenomenal way to go when you're looking to save on your fitness journey, especially when it comes to nutrition. I mentioned planning ahead when it came to really getting your meals in order. So that's a great way to go, thinking about what you're going to eat in the future and kind of what those are going to look like. That way, you know, if a certain ingredient is going to be stretched across multiple meals, you can buy that in bulk, or even potentially adjusting a meal to say, I'm already going to have a few of these ingredients. So seeing where that can go. That way, there's less waste as well. If you're similar to me and you do enjoy eating out from time to time or sometimes a little bit more, I do like to put into my plan those days that I'm going to be eating out and the days that I'll be eating at home. And I try to be as honest as I can with myself so that I don't waste that food that I've purchased, because food is very expensive these days. So that's a really big area that we can save. That's also a really big area that we can spend. So being mindful and being sure that we're spending that and planning accordingly is the best way to go. And cooking at home, as old as that advice is, really is going to be the best bang for your buck, not only on the nutrition side, because of course foods that are made outside, you're not always sure what exactly is going into those. Foods at home, you can really input those foods into different fitness calculations and things if you're doing that as well on your fitness journey, which can be helpful. Sometimes just tracking your food in general on more of the nutrition side can be a lot more helpful, because then you know exactly what you're eating. So always a great way to go when we're talking nutrition. There's also great alternatives, and some of these are not going to be a surprise, but for some of them, they work for me and they've helped my household a lot. The very top one talks about shredded cheese. Inside of pre-shredded cheese, there's an added ingredient so that it doesn't cake together and get stuck, which isn't bad necessarily, but with that ingredient removed, ever since we started buying block cheese and shredding it ourselves, the cheese melts so much better, it tastes more delicious. It's not the best hack for me because it just means I eat that much more cheese because it's tastier. But if you're measuring out your food and you're tracking your nutrition, buying it in blocks and shredding it yourself can be a phenomenal savings, and it can go a long way. Already mentioned the frozen fruits and veggies. That's a huge tip. That's helped my household a lot. Name brand bread. They have phenomenal bread just right typically across the way at the bakery there at the grocery store that you're shopping at. That fresh baked bread is typically going to be less expensive than the name brand bread, and depending on how much you're buying, can really be a great bang for your buck. Fresh fish can also be a great ingredient on your fitness journey, but just as with the frozen fruits and veggies, frozen fish fillets are phenomenal. Another great way to not go to waste, you can pull it out and defrost it when you're ready to make it. That way, if maybe a friend or someone else has other plans for your meal for that evening or even for lunch, which I know can be a tough one for folks, that way you haven't pulled it out, so it's good to go later. Shredded chicken, that can also really add up to buy a lot of chicken, chicken breast, chicken different things. A great tip is right at the grocery store, they typically have an amazing deal on the rotisserie chicken. You could buy that rotisserie chicken and shred that. You typically get those for anywhere at $5, $6, $7, can be a lot less and a really easy quick meal for you. Spice mixes can also be another area that it adds up really quickly. So if you buy those individual spices, or you look on the back of a spice mix that you love, if you buy them individually, they'll stretch a lot further, and you'll be able to have that spice mix that you love, have it for a long time, and save a lot of money doing it. The next one can be a really big one when people are trying to go all in on a fitness journey. You think, okay, I'm really ready to get my fitness in check, I'm going to get my physical self that much better. What I really need are the clothes to go with it. And you're talking to the right gal, because I understand that completely. I want to have the outfit, I want to be ready to go. But that can add up a lot. So what you want to do is sometimes look for secondhand deals. Secondhand is a phenomenal way to go, especially when we're talking about workout clothes, because for those that are working out, often weight and size is fluctuating a lot, either up or down. So a lot of times you can get some amazing pieces that are hardly worn whatsoever and very well shaped for a really inexpensive deal. So thrift stores are phenomenal, garage sales, things like the Facebook Marketplace or other marketplaces that are out there can be a great way to find those workout clothes, especially if you like certain name brands. that can be a great way to go. Also, big box stores typically have phenomenal deals on different workout clothes. Right now, we're in January. This is the time that a lot of folks focus on this area. So those big name brand stores that are specific to workout clothes are often, even if things say that they're on sale, they've really moved up the prices in order to show a price reduction. This is when you're going to really be paying a premium for some of this stuff. So I'm glad you're here today so we could talk about it. There's also great deals that are happening seasonally. So if you know that those are typical clothes that you like, waiting until kind of the end of the year, mid-year, another great time if you're going to hold out on your fitness journey and really stay up to date and keep up that great work is typically in late February and March when some folks have kind of fallen off that fitness wagon. That's when a lot of times those stores will discount that merchandise and you'll find some amazing secondhand deals as well on that apparel. So always important. Versatile pieces, that's good advice for any time and any wardrobe, but especially right now with these workout clothes, they have some amazing, really fun, exciting prints. But if you go with those more basic colors, those basic styles that you can match with different pieces, that's really going to help you a lot. So if you're buying, the pants that are just, kind of one color that can go with multiple tops or even in reverse and wash those, I understand it's exciting to have all that new gear, but we want to make sure that we're really keeping in mind our finances as well as we go through this. Borrow and swapping. If you have friends or family that are going through this journey as well, keep in mind you can kind of swap those clothes out. Make sure we're washing them as we go, but after they're washed and cleaned and ready, working with somebody that's a similar size to you, that can be a great way to go. Or even on some of those marketplaces that I mentioned, finding ways that you can swap out. Sometimes people just are a little tired of the items that they have. They may be very willing to swap for those items for new items. So always worth a try to save you a little bit of money on that apparel. The next one is equipment, which of course, if you're somebody that's all in on that fitness journey, you think I got to have this right equipment, I'm going to subscribe, I'm really going to go in, this is going to be the time it happens. But the best way to go, and sometimes the best way to get started, and so many fitness experts recommend those body weight exercises. Especially for those of you who go to the gym year round, you are absolutely going to see an increase in the gym during the months of January and February. So if crowds are not for you, I certainly understand. That's really going to be a time to explore some of those videos and things at home and really use that body weight versus going to a gym or committing to something like a gym membership, depending on your tastes. Until you really know what you like and what equipment you're going to enjoy and need, it's great just to kind of explore some of those. Also getting creative when you're at home, using things like water jugs or chairs that are already there. A lot of times the workout videos that you're going to find on things like YouTube, which I highly, highly recommend to try a couple different things out, they'll tell you about all the equipment that you already have in your home that you can use. Things like your water bottle, a water bottle that's already at home. There's lots of different things that are around you that you can use instead of investing in that equipment. So a little creativity and body weight goes a long way. You can still be effective that way. So if we're looking to still maximize that budget, it's also important to, again, invest in versatile items. What items are we using and what is that looking like as we go? If we buy a ton of equipment that have different needs that are going to fit what we need, we may end up using some of it. I can speak from experience for myself and also plenty of other friends that when they've purchased those other items, things like treadmills, Pelotons, different bikes, that a lot of times we end up hanging our clothes on them and they don't end up getting as used as often as we thought. So taking our time to understand what we want, what we're looking for, because once we know there's a certain type of equipment that we want, again, buying secondhand can save so much money. The resale value, which is important for you to know as a consumer, is not very high on all of those pieces. A lot of times those are selling for around that 50%, sometimes higher depending on the name brand, but that means you can get it a lot cheaper secondhand. But it does mean that if you decide to buy it brand new, the ability to resell it to someone else is absolutely lower. So just keeping that in mind, if you're going to buy it brand new, take a moment to take a look and see how much they're selling for so that when you're ready to sell it, you have an idea of what you might be able to get back if you end up not liking it. So those free resources, I can't talk about those enough. There's some amazing apps that are out there, things like MyFitnessPal, Fitbit, things to check and really keep track of what you're doing, but also YouTube is a phenomenal place to go take a look and even find all sorts of different workouts, anything you might imagine. There's some amazing ones for dance, for bar, for yoga, for strength training. and find sometimes the people that you like, that you're finding a video that you like to follow every once in a while, because the likelihood that that person has an app and maybe some other things is great, and then you can consider subscribing. But initially, it's great to really take a look and see if you can maximize that with just keeping it free to start. So really great way to go. Low cost equipment is also very important. We want to keep in mind those things that we can get if we really do feel like we need equipment, because even some of those videos, and if you do take a look and find that you like a lot of those, they may tell you that you need maybe a set of dumbbells. Doesn't mean that you need all of them. That's really key for understanding your journey, and you could always buy them as you go if you find that you need them. I myself am not very strong. I use a set of 3 pounds and a set of 5 pounds, and those have done me well for quite some time. If you find yourself needing those higher weights, that's always up to you, but just find out kind of what you like first. That way you can keep those equipments in mind. Resistance bands are also another great way to go. That's great for stretching as well, which is very important. You'll find on your fitness journey as you go. A jump rope and a yoga mat can help you so much also. All right, so low cost equipment. But overall, I want you to know that you've got this. There's a great way to go. Choose an activity that you enjoy. Find those things that you want to explore and what you're going to stick with. Make the time for it. We make the time for the things that are important to us. So making sure we're setting aside some time. And if we can't, finding those creative ways that we can sneak that in, some lunges down the hallway, maybe a quick walking meeting, tons of different ways we can fit in our fitness. Finding a buddy, finding someone that you're around in your household or at your work that supports you and can really be that workout buddy, and also that accountability buddy is huge. And always is getting creative, finding those different ways, parking further away when you've driven somewhere, taking the stairs instead of the elevator. There's plenty of ways that you can focus on this for completely free. So you've got this. We also have some amazing financial coaches at Ent. So as you find yourself on the fitness journey, if you find that the financial side isn't where you want it to be, our free coaches are here to talk to you about that, about all these things: budgeting, credit, savings, debt repayment. So as you're working on those gains in the gym, understand that we have ways you can maximize those gains for your finances completely free, whether you're a member of Ent or not. So want to be here all along the way for you for all those New Year's resolutions and beyond. Thank you so much for joining. I'm taking a quick look to see if we have anything in the Q&A, just seeing if there's any questions, but truly I appreciate your time today. Thank you for taking the time to join, and I hope that this January and New Year is a fabulous one for you. Thank you so much.